Surya Nanduri here. Welcome back to Startup Business Management. Over the past 3 sessions, we explored the fundamentals of startups, covering everything from the definition to the ecosystems and the key success factors that drive the success of startups. This session is about business. We will begin by defining what business is and then explore its historical evolution. A business can be defined various ways depending on the perspective. At its core, business is an organization or an enterprise engaged in commercial, industrial, or professional activities to produce and sell goods and services. From an economic perspective, a business is a vital component of the economy that provides goods, services, employment, and drives innovation and growth. From a social standpoint, a business can be seen as a mechanism to meet the needs of the society, solving the problems and improving the quality of life. So business can be for profit. So these are for profit entities, or they can be non-profit organizations that operate to fulfill a charitable mission or a social cause. So while many businesses are typically profit driven, others can focus on social or environmental issues or community goals. These are often called social enterprises, non-profits, or NGOs, but they are also businesses. Their primary objective isn't just to make profits, but to create a positive impact on the society, like improving education, healthcare, or environment. So businesses are both for profit and for non-profit. Knowing the history of business helps startups build successful strategies. Understanding the past highlights the cyclical nature of trends, guiding startups on what may come next and how to innovate effectively. Startups don't always need to invent something brand new to achieve success. Sometimes it's about improving the existing business solutions, finding new applications, or optimizing the business processes. Take Amazon for example. It did not invent retail, but it kind of revolutionized the way we shop online. Uber didn't invent taxis, but it transformed urban transportation by making ride sharing as a mainstream activity. Tesla didn't invent cars, it revolutionized the market by making electric vehicles desirable, practical, and of high performance. Airbnb did not create vacation rentals, but made bookings accessible to anyone who had a spare room. So these companies identified inefficiencies or opportunities in existing markets and introduced innovative approaches that changed the industry's landscape. So by refining business models, changing the technology applications, startups can become large corporations without starting from scratch. Incremental innovation can lead to monumental success. History is a great teacher. It provides lessons in resilience, adaptability, and the importance of timing. It gives a context to current practices, showing how they have evolved over a period of time and why certain practices exist and why certain practices are outdated. Now let's see how the business evolved over the ages.
Early humans had very little material needs, other than leaves and animal skin as clothes, and fruits and flesh of animals as food. As the needs were limited, there was no requirement for exchange of goods. As the population increased, people had to go out, hunt for food for their families. Gradually, humans started forming groups. The members of each group stayed together while traveling and hunting, and they refrained from any interaction with other groups. Then began the intergroup interaction, which perhaps paved the way for the system of exchange. They started exchanging their goods for what they needed. The exchange involved mostly the goods to fulfill basic needs, like food, clothes, etc. The barter systems became the earliest form of trade, where goods and services were exchanged directly from one to another. Somewhere around 6000 BC, the Phoenicians in the Mesopotamia, the tribes bartered goods with other countries overseas for things like food, animal skins, weapons, and spices for goods and services that they wanted in return. The barter system had limitations. The blacksmith needed grain, but the farmer didn't need any tools. Enter the concept of currency, which revolutionized trade. The development of currency in Mesopotamia around 3000 BCE facilitated trade. Ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans engaged in trade, with markets and trade routes expanding. The Silk Road, nearly 6,500 kilometers long, going through various kingdoms, nations, and inhospitable terrains, was a vast network of trade routes connecting Asia, Europe, and Africa. Along these ancient highways, merchants exchanged silk, tea, spices, wool, ivory, and precious metals. The Silk Road facilitated cultural exchange, technological diffusion, and economic growth. It was the original global marketplace, fostering connections that transcended borders and shaped the course of history. During the Middle Ages, the period from 500 CE to 1500 CE, trade networks expanded across Europe, Asia, and Africa. The rise of merchant guilds in Europe regulated trade practices. The Silk Road was a significant trade route connecting East and West. The period between the 14th and 17th century witnessed the expansion of exploration and colonization, especially by the Portuguese, British, French, and the Dutch. The expansion began with the Age of Discovery, using nautical route to navigate to the hitherto explored and unexplored continents and nations. The sea routes became an alternative to the long winding Silk Route, particularly for the European powers, and opened new markets and resources. This period saw the rise of capitalism and even early joint stock companies. As the trading companies, backed by the European nations, expanded their footprint in almost all the continents, global trade flourished. During the period of Enlightenment, between the 17th and the 18th century, theories on economics began to develop, with figures like Adam Smith advocating for free markets and competition. 19th century, the Industrial Revolution transformed business with the advent of mechanized production, railroads, and steamships. Mass production and the rise of factories marked a significant shift in business practices. Factories were set up for mass production. Chemicals, textiles, cars, and steel started getting produced in factories that employed labor in large numbers. Some of the greatest inventions happened in the 19th century. From telegraph, mechanical computers, photography, aircraft, telephone, light bulb, motor car, cinema to X-ray, the century introduced some path-breaking and life-changing technologies. Factories hummed with machinery, mass production became the norm, and entrepreneurs seized opportunities. Innovations like the steam engine, textile mills, and railroads fueled economic growth. Business structures evolved, with corporations emerging as powerful entities, pooling resources and spreading risk. In the early 20th century, the development of corporate structures, management theories, and international trade agreements shaped modern business. The Great Depression of 1929 to 1939 was a severe worldwide economic downturn that began with the stock market crash of October 1929. This crash led to a loss of confidence in financial markets, triggering widespread bank failures and a dramatic drop in consumer spending and investment. The developments led widespread unemployment and deflation. Global GDP fell, leading to a significant decline in industrial production and international trade. The The Great Depression was a severe and prolonged economic downturn that lasted for about a decade.